A Tongan story has made it to one of the biggest film festivals in the world, Sundance.
So this one is church? Church.
Behego varia.
The two Tongan New Zealand filmmakers behind the short film Lea Tupuana, Mother Tongue, explores cultural identity and language trauma, told through a young woman who struggles to reconnect with her Tongan heritage. The film was selected out of 17,000 applications to be screened at Sundance, which boasts of launching the careers of some of the greatest directors in the world. Alicia Foon spoke with director Vea Mafileo and writer-actor Luciane Buchanan, who are both at the Sundance Film Festival in Utah, America.
My name is Vea, and I'm the director of the film. And Sundance was the first festival that we applied for after finishing it. And we were just like, yeah, man, this would be so amazing if we got into this festival. Like, for me, as a director and filmmaker, Sundance has always been the pinnacle. So, it was a bit of a, okay, let's just gamble. Give it a gamble and we'll see how we go. And, we struck it lucky. And out of 17,000 films, like, that just feels so incredible that we have managed to get in and be here as well and kind of be absorbed in the vibe of the festival.
And I guess for me, Luciane, I'm the writer and actor in it. It's one of the top 5 film festivals in the world. And what's always been attractive to me to want to be a part of it, either acting or being a filmmaker, is that they really prioritize indie films and with like a worldly lens. So they're not solely focused on US content. And I don't know, it's just been the home for so many breakout directors who are now legends, like people like Christopher Nolan. And this year they honoured Kristen Stewart. So she's been here for like 10 years. So it's super inspiring, and I know it's just the start for Vera and I. And yeah, we just feel so lucky and overwhelmed. Being here has kind of invigorated more ideas. We were, sitting with a wine last night being like, what if we did this? What if we did that? And I think that's come from a lot of the responses from the audiences who are like, is this going to be a feature? And we're like, wow, we've never really thought about that. But we both will continue to support each other in whatever way because we are both Tongan women in the same industry. So I'll happily work with her if I get the opportunity. If not, I'll support her from the audience always.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think...
Go ahead, yeah.
Also, Luciane and I have quite similar things that we want to achieve in terms of elevating Tongan storytelling. And so I think that naturally... whenever Tongan projects come along, we kind of all sort of band together as much as possible because there's so few of us and there's so many of our stories left to tell and we've got so many kind of cooking away. So I'm really looking forward to future things that we can develop. And it's just really awesome to have people approach us and go, hey, what's next? Let's talk, let's meet. And that's super encouraging.
Vea, do you find that there is much of an appetite for Pacific stories? And being in the film industry, do you believe it's a safe and accessible place for Pacific filmmakers and up-and-coming filmmakers? What's your experience been like?
Well, I mean, it's interesting being here because we kind of feel like a bit of a minority of the minority. Over here in America, Pacific Islanders are under the same category as Asians. So essentially that's the kind of basket we're lumped into. And there's only one other Hawaiian film here and our film from the Pacific region. So it's definitely a voice that is, rare in the space. So I'm super excited about how this film can potentially highlight this is a space that we actually belong. It's not just writer, director, actor. There's camera, there's coffee maker, like all of these different departments, builders that we need to make a film happen. And I think our people just haven't realised yet that fact.
And how important was it to showcase Tongan language the way that you have? 17 minutes of film, but the beauty of the language and a journey as well as our generation explores what it means to know the mother tongue. How important was that for you guys, and what do you hope people will take from this film?
Oh, definitely in the writing process, the language is it's the theme of the entire short, but not specifically Tongan language and English. It's who are we without language, and how do we communicate without the common language? So looking at language as a symbol rather than this is about Tongan language, because I think that's what's so universal about this, is that you don't have to be Tongan to be like, oh yeah, I've had that language trauma where I can't speak to my Chinese family because I was an immigrant to New Zealand or wherever in the world. So I think that was really important. I also love hearing it on screen. Having that on a world stage is something really special and something we want to continue doing. And it's just bringing up great conversations about how important language is to a culture. They're kind of interwoven into, your identity as a Tongan. And both Vera and I have had experiences not being able to speak Tongan and having some sort of comprehension, but that was the driving force of why we wanted to tell the story, to kind of, it was very cathartic for me writing it, and I've kind of gone to a space of acceptance of that this is a lifelong journey. It's not going to be fixed in a year or even blaming my parents for not teaching me. It's kind of like everyone's on their own journey, whether that's te reo or Tongan, and just to be patient because we all have so many factors as to why we don't have those language skills.
With this film, it transcends culture. I had a screening yesterday and a Black American man came up and he was crying and just like, man, I fully resonate with you on this. An Iranian man came up and he was crying and he was like, this is my story. So this is like a global dilemma.
It is such a universal and powerful theme, and thank you for sharing that, because I'm very intrigued about how it's been received so far, and it sounds like it's had a real impact. Do you believe that outside of ethnic minorities, that mainstream Western cultures will see this and see the value in something like this, and do you believe that this is just the beginning for these kind of universal themes to be explored?
Yeah, I mean, we had another short film group sit behind us at the premiere, and they were from all over the states. One was from Louisiana, the other was from Texas, and they were like, what's your film about? And then I had to explain where Tonga was, because they hadn't heard of Tonga. And then I was like, but we live in New Zealand. And they're like, oh, okay, but we're not Indigenous to New Zealand. And they were like, oh, wow, this is really fascinating. I just had no idea that would ever be an issue, because I guess they might not know anyone who has dealt with these issues. And then as soon as our film finished, the woman from Louisiana reached out to me and put her hand on our shoulders, and she was like, that was stunning. So for someone who's never been exposed to those kind of topics, for her to feel something was really special. And then the guy from Texas found me on Instagram and sent me another lovely message. So I think people who don't relate to it can find something special in it as well, which is more than we could have asked for.
That's so beautiful. I'd love to hear that. And yeah, how can people that are listening to this see the film?
Well, we have applied to Māorilands and the New Zealand International Film Festival, so we're just waiting on whether or not we got in, because we make this film for our families and our friends, so we want them to it to be accessible in New Zealand. So hopefully we have good news soon.
Yeah.